strain that we're seeing, are you confident of it sailing through in the current financial year itself? And any comments at all on the crude prices if the government is considering some sort of a tax relief? Thank you.
On the privatization, we've been on course since last budget. In the last budget, I had listed out the names of those for which Cabinet had already given us a clearance. And in that, at that time, the question, let's say, from the media used to be, when are you doing Air India? So the fact is that we are moving forward, and that is why Air India got cleared. NINL got cleared, although in NINL, government doesn't receive any money because the ownerships are with state. In NINL, government doesn't receive any money because the ownerships we are on course and we are moving forward. State government and so on. And I also recognize that LIC IPO was also something which has been very privatization. Equally worried even that the market situation is conducive for LIC. So we are on course and we are moving forward. So if it's good, and for I also LIC, recognize that even as you're asking as to what is happening about the private LIC, privatization, for the rest as well. Equally worried if the market situation is conducive for I can LIC. See in the market now that if it's good for LIC, it is good for everything else. And if it has got headwinds for LIC in the market, there's a lot of interest in the market. And I'm glad that the way in which the market now that crafted draft red shareholders also have out and rolled to play in the bus in the market. I think the way it is interest in the market has created a lot of interest, and I'm glad that the way in which we'll be going ahead with it. Crafted in that the current shareholders also have a DRHP is not issued 2 years in advance, is it? I think the way it is crafted has created a lot of interest.
Yes.
And no, I've not finished all the questions. We'll be going ahead unless you want me to avoid.
In the current financial year?
Well, DRHP is not issued 2 years in advance, is it? Prices, so very difficult to say.
Yes.
No, I've not finished all the questions. Unless you want me to avoid FSDC when we were looking at the challenges which is posed for the financial stability. On the crude prices, very difficult to say. International as to how it's going to go. Even today, in the FSDC, when we were looking at the challenges which is the situation that is developing for the financial stability, all these are headwinds. Crude was one of the things. Obviously, international is one of the very important situations where we have to see how it goes. Actually, voiced today itself, the rate is somewhere in the range of 96. The situation that is developing in Ukraine, all these are headwinds. So we'll keep a watch on the crude. Obviously, is one of the very important considerations.
After that, you hand over to
we'll have to see how it goes. Today itself, the rate is somewhere in the range of 96 Brent. I thought I answered. So we'll keep a watch.
Ma'am, I'm Yash Jain from
After that, you hand over to Abhijit.
I want to ask you two questions. The first one is with respect to a recent SEBI order which had come, which was around the National Stock Exchange and the role of the former MD and CEO. Of course, at the conclusion, they were charged a penalty, and I want to ask you two questions. The first one is with respect to a recent SEBI order which had come, but do you think that around the National Stock Exchange and the role of the former MD and CEO? Of course, which was at the conclusion, they should have been charged a penalty and should have been done more. Are you looking at reviewing that order along with the regulator and taking it forward from this point? That is one question. And the second one is, you spoke about your meeting with the FSDC. This should have been more important. Should have been done. Are you looking at reviewing that order along with market regulator and taking it forward from this point? We've been waiting for some appointment on that. Is you spoke about your meeting. Where is it stuck? When do we see that appointment? Important regulators and what's the progress in SEBI? Do we see the current chairman getting an extension beyond February? 9 months, I guess. Or we've been waiting for some appointment on that particular position. Where is it stuck? When do we see that appointment happening?
Well,
and what's the progress in SEBI? Do we see the current chairman getting an extension beyond February?
I have no comment to make on
are you
whether
going
there
to start
was
with the process of appointing a new chairman
an
at SEBI?
adequate correction on the first question, the NSC penalizing or anything taken against those. I have no comment to make on whether there was. And I have no view this way or that way till I really get to the bottom of what is correctional step in the sense of penalizing or anything taken against those who were held responsible, whether it was enough, whether it is not. And I have no view this way or that way till I really get to the bottom of what is available. On the chiefs of IRDA, yes, of course, but I won't be able to comment on vacant and whether it was enough, whether it is not. The person holding additional charges, the one on that is how far I can be steering it. On the chiefs of IRDA, yes, government of course, will I recognize it's been vacant and as regards SEBI chief, the person holding additional charges, the one Ajay can correct me, probably the process of calling for applications has already happened. And the government I don't know whether it means this way or that way. As regards SEBI chief, to happen. I think so. You'll have to wait till the 28th. The process of calling for applications has already happened. I don't know whether it means this way or that way. I appreciate the concern and I equally like to have somebody at the earliest. So you'll have to wait till the 28th to know.
Ma'am, I'm Joel Rebello. I write for the Economic Times. I want to step back for the macro picture. You've met a lot of people today.
I appreciate the
today,
concern and I equally like to have somebody at the
They gave you a lot of feedback, must be. So the demand in the economy, we are still, we are better than we were macro picture. You've met a lot of people today, some way to go. Bankers today, yesterday, in terms of reviving demand, they gave you a lot of feedback, stimulating more demand. Is there any suggestion that they came in the economy? We are still, and we are better than we were last year. That you can share for the next some way to go. How are you all looking at it? In terms of reviving demand or reviving demand, stimulating more demand, is there any suggestions that they came after the meeting that they came had across the country? And is there anything that you can share for the next fiscal? How are you all looking at it? Is there anything you can expect in terms of reviving demand with what you have done post-budget after the meetings with you had
in order to get this the budget is going to take shape and effect only from progressing fast is mentioned in the budget. And what I plan to do in the coming year is what I've said in the budget. So that is the larger picture that we want to take in order to get this economy moving and progressing fast is mentioned in the budget. So let it play out from 1st April. No, the meeting is, so that is the larger picture which is said rightly. It's an outreach on the budget mentioned in the budget itself.
We can take a press question from the Marathi press. Vaibhav, Maharashtra Times.
No, the meeting is what, as was said rightly, it's an outreach on the budget.
एक सवाल था कि जीएसटी कॉम्पेंसेशन जो है वो इस साल
क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम द मराठी प्रेस वैभव
ऑब्वियसली जीएसटी काउंसिल ही वो डिसाइड करेगी कि क्या करना है बट स्टिल आई विश टू नो दैट एनी रोड मैप एक सवाल था कि जीएसटी विल बी कॉम्पेंसेशन यू आर प्लानिंग टू गिव इस साल खत्म हो जाएगा तो सेंट्रल मिनिस्ट्री टू ऑब्वियसली जीएसटी काउंसिल ही वो डिसाइड करेगी क्या करना है बट स्टिल आई विश टू नो दैट एनी रोड मैप
जीएसटी काउंसिल ने ही तय कर दिया कि
सेंट्रल मिनिस्ट्री
कॉम्पनसेशन सेस कलेक्शन
आगे क्या करना है और क्या कर सकते हैं
आगे भी जारी रहेगी
गेटिंग ओवर दिस
अप टू मार्च 2026 जीएसटी काउंसिल ने ही तय कर दिया कि कमी कॉम्पनसेशन सेस कलेक्शन 20 में आगे भी जारी रहेगी उसको भरपाई करने के लिए ही एक्सटेंशन जरूरी है जो और उसको पहचान करके जीएसटी काउंसिल ने कैलकुलेट किया सेस कलेक्शन को एक्सटेंड करने के लिए सिर्फ वो उसको भरपाई करने के लिए लोन का एक्सटेंशन पे करने के लिए जरूरी है एक्सटेंशन और उसको पहचान करके जीएसटी काउंसिल और सिर्फ वो भरपाई करने के लिए ही एक्सटेंशन करने के लिए सिर्फ वो आवश्यक है बाकी और so वो लोन का इंटरेस्ट पे करने के लिए एक्सटेंशन कैलकुलेट कर पे कर दिया है और सिर्फ वो भरपाई करने के लिए ही एक्सटेंशन 2026 मार्च तक आवश्यक है एंड आल्सो फॉर पेइंग द इंटरेस्ट सो इट्स ऑलरेडी एक्सटेंडेड अप टू मार्च 2026 and it is extended to pay the
Ma'am, hi, I'm Menika Doshi with
money
Bloomberg
which has to be
Quint. I
paid
just wanted
for the
to follow up on the
2020
question
gap
was
that
just
arose
asked
in the
with regards to
compensation,
GST compensation.
and also for
cess.
paying
I
the
understand the
interest on
extension,
the
as you
borrowed
explained,
money.
is broadly to recompense for the previous year's shortfalls.
Ma'am,
But is
hi,
it
I'm
the
Menika
thinking of
Doshi
the central
with
government
Bloomberg
at all?
Quint. I just wanted to follow
if
up
the
on the
states were to
question
bring
that
up
was
the
just asked
proposal
with
for
regards
an
to GST
extension even
compensation
beyond
cess,
that,
I
would the
understand the
central
extension, as
government
you
be
explained, is
in
broadly
favor
to
of such an
recompense
extension,
for the
especially
previous
given that
year's
you have
shortfalls?
underscored
But is it the
the
thinking
need
of
for
the central
infrastructure
government at
building
all?
in this budget?
If the states
will
will
have to
play
play
a large part in
an
that,
extension even
and therefore
beyond
they will
that,
need the money.
would the central government
For the
be
states to play a
in
large
favor
part,
of such
and
an
that is
extension,
when we
especially
from
given
last
that
year have been
you have
giving them the
underscored the
50-year
need for
interest-free
infrastructure
loan,
building
which was
in
only
this
10
budget,
to
and states will
10,000
have to play a
crores,
large
where
part in
because
that,
the states
and
showed
therefore
a
they will
great
need the
appetite
money.
for it, and we extended
For the
it within the 12-month period
to
and that is when we from last year
and
have
this
been
year we
giving
have
them
said
the
the
same
50
thing, 1
year
lakh
interest
crore for
free
the
loan,
states,
which was only 10 to
for the
10,000
next 50
crores,
years,
where
interest
because
free.
the states
So,
showed a
on
great appetite for it, and
infrastructure
we
building,
extended
we've
it
already given
within
them.
the 12-month
But
period to 15,000
see, the
crores.
GST Council,
and this year we have
there
said
is
the
no
same thing, 1 lakh
adversarial
crore for the
relationship.
states
For the
versus
50
center.
next
If the
50
states
years
bring this
interest-free.
proposal, will
So,
the center?
On
We're all in
infrastructure
together.
building, we've already given
So
that.
whatever gets discussed there, it gets
See, the
discussed
GST Council,
there is no adversarial
per the
relationship.
existing
States
compensation
versus the
in
center.
the
If the
GST
states bring this
Act,
proposal, will the
the
center?
14%
We're all
was to
in
be
it
given
together.
for 5 years.
So whatever gets discussed
Now,
there, it gets discussed.
Towards that period,
And
within the
5 year, the
per the
compensation which
existing
has to be
compensation
paid
couldn't
in
be
the GST
paid, we had
Act,
to, for that
the 14%
compensation
was to be given for 5 years.
strictly limited to that.
This
Now,
was extended.
towards that period,
So that's
within the
where
5
we are.
year, the compensation
Sorry,
which
if I may
has
draw a
to be
conclusion
paid
based on what you said,
couldn't
does
be
that
paid.
mean
You may
that we
not
had
draw
to
any conclusion
for-
that other than what I've meant to say in my
But if I can extrapolate that just one more time.
at your risk.
All right, fair
That's
enough.
where we
Ma'am,
if I may
you're
draw a
suggesting that if the
conclusion
states
based on
were
what
to
you
bring
said,
up
does
such
that
You
a
may not
proposal,
draw any conclusion
extend it
other than
beyond
what I've
just
meant to say in my
But if I can extrapolate that just
the
one
central
more time.
government
At your
would
risk.
be
All right,
willing
fair
to
enough.
support that, but maybe not
Ma'am,
at
you're
14%.
suggesting that if the states
Would
were to
that
bring
be
up
a
such
fair
proposal,
takeaway, or
How did you
summary
start
of
your
your
question?
beyond just the
you're
effort to
suggesting this
recompensate
or
for
indicating
previous
this?
year's
Would that be a fair
that
takeaway?
the central government would
I've
be
not suggested
willing to
anything other
support
than
that,
what I've said.
but maybe not at 14%.
No suggestions, pointed
Would
answer.
that be a fair takeaway?
All right, can I ask
How
one
did
more
you
question
start
on
your
the
question?
FSDC meeting, if that's all right.
You're
ma'am?
suggesting
Given
this
that
or
you've
indicating
already
this,
pointed
would that
out some
be a
of the
fair
headwinds
takeaway?
that all economies across the
suggested
world are facing
anything
right
other
now,
than what I've
geopolitics
said.
reflected in
No
oil
suggestions,
prices, and the fact that
pointed
there is
answer.
now a far
All right,
more
can I ask
aggressive
one more
forecast
question on the
of the
FSDC
US Federal
meeting, if that's
Reserve
all right,
raising
ma'am?
rates faster,
Given that
quicker?
you already pointed out
was
some
there
of
any
the headwinds
conversation
that
which the
all
financial
economies
market
across the
and
world are facing
sector
right now,
regulators
geopolitics
No, you
on
started with
oil
FSDC,
prices,
financial
and the fact that there
sector.
is now a
You
far
mean
more
regulators?
aggressive
Yes,
forecast
the regulators
of the US
Federal
was there any
Reserve raising
conversation on
rates
extraordinary
faster,
measures
quicker?
that you all are preparing to keep?
Was there
This
any
does turn out to be a
conversation
year
with the
of
financial
extreme
market and
volatility because
sector
of sharp
regulators?
tightening
No, you
on
started with
monetary policy in the
FSDC,
US?
financial sector. Extreme volatility.
You mean
Yes,
regulators?
a lot
Yes,
of
the regulators,
discussion.
ma'am. Was there any
Headwinds, a lot
conversation
of
on extraordinary
discussion.
measures that you all are preparing to
But
keep
no
if this does turn out to be a
extraordinary.
year
Did you use
of
that word?
extreme volatility
Extraordinary
because of
steps
sharp
being-
tightening
none of that.
of monetary
Any
policy
special steps being
in the
discussed?
US?
No,
in
extreme
coordination with the
volatility,
regulators
yes, a
on
lot
that.
of discussion.
A lot of discussion,
Headwinds,
but no
a lot of
extraordinary steps
discussion.
being discussed.
But
Thank you very
no extraordinary. Did you use that word? Extraordinary steps being none of that.
Any special steps being discussed?
No,
in coordination with the regulators on
No,
that?
a lot of discussion, but no extraordinary steps being discussed.
क्योंकि जो इंश्योरेंस
Thank you,
कंपनियों का कहना है कि पॉलिसी डिसीजन जो है काफी रुके हुए पड़े जिससे कंपनियों को काफी नुकसान हो रहा है पर जो आईआईडी के चेयरमैन का पद है जो पिछले 10 महीने से खाली पड़ा है बैंक क्या इस जो है वो इंश्योरेंस के अंदर नियुक्ति नहीं कर सकता तो वहां पर अभी और इंश्योरेंस कंपनियों का कहना है कि पॉलिसी डिसीजन जो है काफी रुके हुए पड़े वो पद फिर कंपनियों को काफी नुकसान हो रहा है और मैं इसी से जुड़ा हुआ मैम कंपनियों के दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट सरकारी ऑर्डर आ गया कि कंपनियों के कर्मचारी ब्यूरो जो है वो इंश्योरेंस के अंदर नियुक्ति नहीं कर सकता वहां पर अभी और दिक्कत आएगी अगले हफ्ते ही जब नहीं हुआ है इंश्योरेंस और बाकी सब जो उनके पद के लोग हैं एलआईसी खाली रहेगा और बैंक वगैरह का वहां हो गया है ये हड़ताल की वजह से ही आम लोगों को भी नुकसान होता है और हड़ताल पे जा रहे हैं उनका कहना है कि जेन्युइन है उसको देखा जा रहा है 55 महीने से वेज रिवीजन नहीं हुआ है और
उनके
बाकी सब
मांगे जेन्युइन है नहीं जेन्युइन है, मैं वो कुछ भी नहीं कमेंट कर
ये
सकती।
हड़ताल की वजह से ही आम लोगों को
उनकी
भी
आवाज
नुकसान
सुनना
होता है। तो
चाहिए,
क्या
हम
उनकी
सुनेंगे
मांगे
उनकी आवाज।
genuine है,
वो
उसको भी देखा जा रहा है।
उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। उनके मांगे न्यू इंडिया का चेयरमैन अपॉइंटमेंट है, कोर्ट में बीबीबी के ऊपर उनके आवाज सुनना चाहिए, वो सब हमारे संज्ञान में है, हम रिएक्ट करेंगे उसमें। मतलब कोई पोजीशन अपॉइंट करने के लिए जो भी कदम ये न्यू इंडिया का चेयरमैन अपॉइंटमेंट है, कोर्ट में बीबीबी के ऊपर मैं ट्रांसलेट करूंगी हिंदी में, सब हमारे संज्ञान, या आप ही करेंगे, रिएक्ट करेंगे। मतलब पोजीशन अपॉइंट करने के लिए जो भी कदम उठाना है उठाएंगे। ठीक है, वो एडिशनल चार्ज करने वाले का मैं ट्रांसलेट करूंगी हिंदी में, इसको होगा या आप ही करेंगे। इसके अंतर्गत जो करना है वो कर रहे हैं, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि चेयरमैन बिना चल सकते, नहीं, चेयरमैन अपॉइंट होंगे। ठीक है, वो जो मैंने कहा वही आप चार्ज करने वाले का करने के लिए कोशिश करें।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
डिसीजन उसके अंतर्गत जो करना है वो कर रहे हैं, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि चेयरमैन बिना चल सकते, नहीं, चेयरमैन अपॉइंट होंगे। और उनको जो मैंने कहा वही आपको रिपीट करना है। जब से स्टार्टेड डिस्कसिंग इंडिविजुअल।
थैंक यू सो मच
Yeah, we'll get some questions from Bharat. Please go ahead.
मैम, अभिषेक पांडे, न्यूज़ नेशन से। अभी जो रसिया और यूक्रेन के बीच जो वार जैसी सिचुएशन है, उसके कारण आज शेयर मार्केट में फ्लक्चुएशन रहा और 2-3 दिनों से लगातार मैम फ्यूल प्राइसेस बढ़ने के चांसेस हैं। अभिषेक पांडे, न्यूज़ नेशन से। तो अभी जो रसिया और यूक्रेन के बीच स्टेबिलिटी, मार्केट स्टेबिलिटी और के कारण आज शेयर मार्केट में किस तरीके से रहा और 2-3 दिनों से लगातार है तरफ से उस फ्यूल प्राइसेस बढ़ने के चांसेस है, मेटल और जो भी चीजें हैं, तो सरकार इसको कैसे देख रही है और क्या स्टेबिलिटी, मार्केट स्टेबिलिटी और छोटे इन्वेस्टर्स को लेकर के किस तरीके से सिक्योरिटी देने की कोशिश की जाएगी सरकार की
अलग से? उधर जो हो रही है उसके ऊपर हम हो रही है, वॉच कर रहे हैं, विदेश में जो हो रही है उसके और उसके कारण जो भी हमारे ऊपर दबाव आएगा उसमें सरकार नहीं है, मगर सरकार वी आर कीपिंग अ वॉच एंड वी आर उधर जो हो रही है उसके ऊपर हम,
क्योंकि फ्यूल प्राइसेस खास करके चूंकि सेंटर की तरफ से जो भी चीजें जो भी हमारे सुपरविजन में आएगा उस पर पॉलिटिकल भी तमाम सारी मूवमेंट और प्रोटेस्ट आपके सामने हैं, और जिस तरीके से उस पर कैसे देख रही है फ्यूल प्राइसेस खास करके सेंटर की तरफ से जो भी चीजें जो सुपरविजन में है उस पर पॉलिटिकल भी तमाम सारी मूवमेंट और प्रोटेस्ट आपके सामने हैं, और जिस तरीके से उस पर कैसे देख रही हैं फ्यूल प्राइसेस को लेकर के?
फ्यूल प्राइसेस के ऊपर मैं आपके सामने विषय याद दिलाना चाह रही हूँ कि दीपावली के एक दिन के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने खुद करके उस समय पर सामने आकर के ही डीजल 7 रुपीस और पेट्रोल ग्लोबली प्राइसेस फ्यूल प्राइसेस की वजह से जो हो रही है कम करवाए ना, और प्राइस सिर्फ जनता की मांग सुनकर एक प्रॉब्लम प्रधानमंत्री जी नहीं है, उस समय पर चैलेंज ये भी है कि शॉर्टफॉल भी और सप्लाई ग्लोबली प्राइसेस उत्पादन फ्यूल प्राइसेस के वजह से जो है उसमें भी कटौती हो रही है, सप्लाई भी कम कर, प्राइस सिर्फ ज्यादा होना एक प्रॉब्लम।
एक दूसरा सवाल इससे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से रिलेटेड,
शॉर्टफॉल मनीष भाई, सप्लाई उनसे जो उत्पादन होकर आना है उसमें भी कटौती हो रही है, सप्लाई भी कम कर।
जीएसटी से जुड़ा सवाल है क्योंकि आपके डिपार्टमेंट का है। एक दूसरा सवाल जिस स्टेट में महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट से रिलेटेड में हमेशा फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर की तरफ से कहा जाता है कि सेंटर की तरफ से हमें जो भी जीएसटी स्टेट का है वो सही समय पर नहीं मिल पाता है। जीएसटी से जुड़ा सवाल है, कभी 15,000 का आंकड़ा दिया जा रहा है कि 15,000 स्टेट में आप महाराष्ट्र में हमेशा फाइनेंस की बातें पहुंच रही कहा जाता है कि इसको आप सेंटर की तरफ से हमें जो भी जीएसटी स्टेट का है वो सही समय पर नहीं मिल पाता है, और कभी 15,000 का आंकड़ा दिया जा रहा है कि 15,000 करोड़ बाकी है, कभी 25,000 करोड़ बाकी, आप तक भी बातें पहुंच रही होंगी, इसको आप कैसे देखते हैं?
उनके हाथ में जा रही है और जीएसटी कितना बाकी है, हर राज्य का वित्त मंत्री 2020 के 43rd जीएसटी काउंसिल में तय होकर के, और हर महीना इतना जीएसटी पहुंचेगा, बाकी जो है वो जुलाई में जा रही है और हम कितना बाकी है भरपाई करेंगे, ये सब 2020 के जीएसटी काउंसिल में तय होकर के अमाउंट इतना आपको पहुंचेगा, बाकी जो है का राय एक विषय हो, दूसरा हमारी राय से कुछ नहीं होता, भरपाई करेंगे, ये सबके हर महीना होता है। जीएसटी कलेक्ट होते हैं, एक सबके सामने कलेक्ट होते हैं, पहला तारीख आपको फरवरी 1 को जनवरी में जो राय एक विषय हो, दूसरा हमारी राय से कुछ नहीं होता, डिक्लेरेशन होता है, बंटवारे हर महीना होता है, जो कलेक्ट होते हैं सबके सामने कलेक्ट होते हैं, पहला तारीख को फरवरी 1 को जनवरी में जो कलेक्शन हुआ उसका या सिर्फ महाराष्ट्र को ज्यादा देना, ये सब पब्लिक स्टेटमेंट, प्रेस रिलीज सब होता है। ये सिस्टम में सिस्टम में ही ये सब बिल्ट इन है कि एक को मिले तो सबको देना, या सिर्फ महाराष्ट्र को तो ज्यादा देना भी उस प्रोपोर्शन में बाकी है, मगर बाकी काउंसिल में तय होकर के बाकी रहता है। ये सब बिल्ट इन है इच्छा के अनुसार एक को मिले तो सबको जीएसटी में निर्णय जो होता है का बाकी अनुसार ही होता है, तो सबका महाराष्ट्र का प्रोपोर्शन में बाकी है, मगर मिनिस्टर हमारे काउंसिल में तय होकर के बाकी मिनिस्टर्स का चीफ है, मेरा इच्छा के अनुसार नहीं चलता। हम जीएसटी में निर्णय जो होता है उसके अनुसार ही होता है, उनका बाकी क्यों? ऐसे महाराष्ट्र का फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर हमारे
Shama, and after that, India Today, Hashtag later on. Shama,
Hi
please
ma'am,
go ahead.
I'm Shama from Doordarshan.
So हम उनको
This is a follow-up question on Ukraine-Russia crisis. What does it mean for Indian trade at larger picture, and how are we prepared?
Yes, next is Shama, and after that,
Hi, ma'am.
India
This
Today,
moment-
Hashtag later on. Shama,
Hi
please
ma'am,
go ahead.
I'm
The
Shama
impact
from Doordarshan News. This is a follow-up question
on
on
our
Ukraine-Russia
trade is
crisis.
yet
What does
to
it
be
mean for
felt
Indian
in
trade
that
at
sense,
larger
you know.
picture, and how are we prepared?
But I think our exporters are also fairly
At this
mindful of what
moment,
is happening. Ministry of External
impact
Affairs has been in touch with all the
on our
countries
trade is
around
yet
that
to be
area.
felt in
Overall,
that sense,
also
you know.
our attempt is to get a diplomatic
But I think our
solution
exporters are also
so that
fairly
my
mindful of
intentions
what is
come down
happening.
and Ministry of External Affairs has been in
At this
touch
stage,
with all
beyond
the
that, I may
countries
not be able to
around that
say.
area.
However,
Overall,
we are
also
all
our
careful
attempt is to
that
get
our
a
exporters
diplomatic
don't suffer.
solution so that
Ma'am,
tensions.
Rachita
Wait a
Prasad,
second,
yeah.
I mean, let him
Trade
finish
doesn't
and then
get
we'll come to
affected.
you.
Good evening, ma'am.
At
I'm
this
Kamlesh
stage,
Sitharaman from
beyond
India
that,
Today Aaj Tak.
I may not
Ma'am,
be
since you're
able
in
to
Maharashtra,
say.
I'm asking this question
However,
because
we are all
there have been
careful
frequent allegations
that our
against the
exporters
enforcement
don't
director
suffer.
by the ruling coalition in Maharashtra.
Ma'am,
that the
Rachita
action
Prasad,
Wait a
taken by
second,
the
I mean, let him
is
finish and then we'll come
motivated.
to you.
And Good evening, recently, ma'am. I'm one of Kamlesh the Sitharaman staff from from India Today Today also Aaj said Tak. that enforcement Since director you're in officials are Maharashtra, indulged I'm into asking this extortion. question because Would you like to comment on that? There have been frequent allegations
See,
against the
even
enforcement
if
director by the
enforcement
ruling coalition in
directorate
Maharashtra
wishes to do
that the action
something
taken by the ED is politically
for
motivated. And recently,
political or
one of the
any
Shiv Sena
other,
leaders had also said
it's
that
just not
enforcement director
possible
officials are indulged into
unless you
extortion.
have the
Would you like
material
to comment on
before
that?
you. See,
Which
even
is
if
substantive
enforcement
enough and
directorate
ED, mind
wishes
you,
to do something,
cannot go there first.
for it's a political or any other. It's just
Law
not
enforcing
possible
agency
unless
which
you
deals
have
with
the
predicate
material
offence,
before
which
you.
means
There is an offence
which is
somewhere
substantive
that's been
enough, and
acted
ED,
upon.
mind you,
Post that there is
cannot
an
go there
offence
first.
created,
It's a
which is coming under the PMLA
law
realm,
enforcing
which is,
agency which deals
Prevention
with
of Money
predicate
Laundering
offence,
Act,
which means
there is
under
an
that
offence
realm,
somewhere
and then the
that's
ED
been
goes
acted
in there.
upon. Post
It
that
requires
there is
so
an
much of
offence
work.
created, which is
And without
coming
that
under the
groundwork
PMLA
in their
realm,
hand,
which is
ED cannot enter
Prevention of
anyway.
Money Laundering Act.
So ED
Under that
overnight
realm, and
thinking,
then the
oh
ED
yes,
goes
my
in
enemy is
there.
here, my friend is
It
there, I won't
requires
go there,
so
I will
much
go
of
here.
work.
Is impossible.
And without that groundwork,
There is an
in
offence
their
created
hand,
somewhere.
That offence is being
ED cannot
investigated.
enter
As a
anyway.
followed, there could be
So
a PMLA
ED
angle based on
overnight
which ED
thinking,
goes.
oh yes, my enemy is here, my
So
friend is there, I won't
you're
go
all
there, I
very
will go
senior,
here. Is
experienced
impossible.
journalists. Please
There is an
understand
offence
the
created
role of the
somewhere. That
enforcement
offence is being
directorate.
investigated. As a followed,
They
it
cannot
could be a
jump in
PMLA
first.
angle based on which
There is an
ED
offence
goes.
somewhere else that's being investigated.
So you're all
So
very
no,
senior, experienced
even if I wish,
journalists.
it just cannot
Please
happen.
understand
But
the
even
role
if
of
I
the
wish,
enforcement
if there is an offence there, I can stop it.
It cannot jump in first. There is an offence
Yes, you
somewhere
can go
else
now.
that's being investigated.
Hi. Ma'am,
So no,
Finance Minister, you very
even if
Rachita
I
here
wish,
from Money Control.
it just
you
cannot happen.
Spoke about
But even
the
if I
fuel
wish,
prices and
if
you
there
said
is an offence
how
there,
PM came
I can
forward
stop
and,
it either.
cut the duty when crude was at $80.
Yes, you can go now.
We are at 96, like you
Ma'am,
highlighted
Finance
earlier.
Minister, you very-
And of
Rachita
course, the
here
macro
from Money
situation is
Control,
not really in our
you
control.
spoke
about
the
fuel
given
prices
the
and you
situation
said,
and given the
how
fact
PM
that
came
OMCs
forward
have
and
not really
cut the
increased
duty
fuel
when
prices for the last
crude was
2
at
months,
$80.
there is an
We are at
expectation that they
96,
would
like
be
you
increasing
highlighted
it
earlier.
sometime soon.
And of course, the macro
Given
situation
this
is not really in our
background,
control.
how comfortable are you
given
with
the
current
situation
prices
and given
and
the fact that
what is the
OMCs have
band
not
that
really
the
increased
government is
fuel
watching
prices
in
for
terms
the
of the
last 2
crude
months?
prices before
There
it
is
actually
an expectation that they
with
would
an
be
excise
increasing
duty
it sometime soon.
You know, you are asking
Given this
questions
background,
where I can
how
easily
comfortable
be tempted
are
to
you
give
with
you
the
an
current
answer for
prices
areas
and
which
what is
don't
the
belong
band
to
that the government is watching in terms of the
However,
crude
for the
prices
area
before
that
it actually
belongs to
steps
me
in
or the
with an
governance,
excise
the
duty
political
cut?
dispensation,
You know, you asked.
I took this example to say when Prime Minister came out to say, no, I want to. For
And many states, I'm very grateful, followed suit. And however, for the area that belongs to me, or the governance, the political dispensation. But about why oil marketing companies who actually came out to say, no, I want to. They buy it at many states. I'm very grateful, followed suit. And based on that, they the burden put on the consumer pump level price out. But about why oil marketing companies will have to do, why they have not done it for the last 7 days, 17 days, 27 days, based on that they put on the, you did mention that pump level price. You didn't want me to answer on that? No, what the oil marketing companies will have to do, why they have not done it for the last 7 days, 17 days, 27 days, I cannot answer.
Given all these developments.
No, you did mention that part.
I mentioned that.
You didn't want me to answer on that?
No, of course.
When it comes at a stage, it will come out publicly. Absolutely.
Fair enough. The expectation is
Fair enough. Please pass the mic behind.
Given all these developments,
Yeah, we are coming. Everybody will get a chance.
What stage would the government like to come in?
Fake GST
When it comes at a stage, it will come out publicly.
बहुत सारे मामले देश भर में सामने आ रहे हैं, महाराष्ट्र में भी आ रहे हैं।
Fair enough. Please pass the mic
तो
behind.
क्या इसके बारे में कंसोलिडेटेड कुछ डेटा मिलेगा?
Yeah, we are coming. Everybody will get a
जीवन
chance.
इनपुट टैक्स के हमने मामले सामने आए हैं और इन सब को प्लग इन करने के लिए ये सब जो बिल्स बना के बहुत सारे मामले देश भर में सामने आ रहे हैं।
Would you mind if I ask Revenue Secretary to answer on that, because he can give you all the
डेटा मिलेगा कि अब तक कितने फेक इनपुट टैक्स रेट के हमने मामले सामने
So you got a
आए
microphone,
हैं और इन सब को प्लग इन करने के लिए, ये सब बंद करने के लिए हम क्या स्टेप्स उठा रहे हैं?
Would you mind if I ask Revenue Secretary to answer on that, because he can give you all the
का जो इशू है वो हम शुरू से जब से जीएसटी
So
चालू
you got a
हुआ है
microphone,
हम उसको फेस कर रहे हैं। इसके लिए हमने काफ़ी सारे स्टेप्स लिए हैं। सबसे पहले तो अभी हमने लेटेस्ट जो आ गया है सीक्वेंशियल फाइलिंग इशू है वो हम सीक्वेंशियल फाइलिंग का मतलब ये है कि अगर आपने जीएसटीआर 1 भी जीएसटीआर 1 लिए हमने काफ़ी सारे स्टेप्स लिए 3 भी अगले माह सबसे पहले तो अभी हमने अगर आपने फेक लेटेस्ट जो आ गया है सीक्वेंशियल फाइलिंग महीने के लिए तो वो एक सीक्वेंशियल फाइलिंग का मतलब ये है कि अगर आपने जीएसटीआर 1 उसके लिए भी हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं आने वाले दिनों में उस पर भी हम क्या स्टेप्स लेंगे आपके सामने रखेंगे वो करेंगे। अगर आपने फेक प्री फिलिंग हमने शुरू कर दिया एक महीने के लिए, जब शुरू में कोई एक महीने के पीरियड जीएसटी का रजिस्ट्रेशन लेता है उसके लिए भी हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं आने वाले दिनों में। इस तरह के हमने स्टेप्स काफी लिए हैं आपके सामने, आपके द्वारा मैं सबको बताना चाहूंगा प्री फिलिंग हमने शुरू ये भी जानकारी ले सकते हैं। शुरू में कोई ट्रक किसी जीएसटी का रजिस्ट्रेशन लेता है उसके लिए आधार कंपलसरी, और अगर कोई व्यक्ति इस तरह के हमने स्टेप्स काफी लिए हैं और आपके द्वारा मैं सबको बताना चाहूंगा कि ऐप पे आ जाएगा हम ये भी जानकारी ले कहां से कहां जा रहा है और क्या माल से निकला कब निकला। अगर उसके रूट में वो नहीं है तो और अगर कोई व्यक्ति वहां पर एनफोर्समेंट का खड़ा है तो उसके मेरे पास डेटा है अभी इमीडिएटली पे आ जाएगा, लेकिन हमने वो ट्रक कहां से कहां जा रहा है और क्या माल लेके, और अब इन अगर उसके रूट में वो नहीं है तो काफी कमी आ रही है। स्टेट्स ने इस पे मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आने वाले पास डेटा है, अभी इमीडिएटली डेटा नहीं है हम, लेकिन हमने काफी फेक बिल्स के को हम काफी पकड़े हैं कंट्रोल कर लेंगे। और अब इन स्टेप्स को लेकर ये भी जानकारी देना चाहूंगा काफी कमी आ रही है। रेवेन्यू 1,30,000 1 लाख आने वाले दिनों में 1,40,000 भी थोड़ा सा कम हो गया, हम थोड़े और स्टेप्स 40,000 जो आया है इसको हम काफी हद तक कंट्रोल कर इकोनॉमी में इंप्रूवमेंट की वजह से ये भी जानकारी देना चाहूंगा कुछ इस वजह से भी आया है। रेवेन्यू 1,30,000 1,35,000 1,40,000 आज के दिन और पिछले 1,40,38,00,000 असेसीज हैं जीएसटी में, इकोनॉमी में इंप्रूवमेंट की वजह से आया है वो 70 लाख इस वजह से भी आया है। तो धीरे धीरे हर व्यक्ति फॉर्मलाइजेशन की तरफ आज के दिन और आप 1,38,00,000 की शुरुआत है जीएसटी में, जो कि जब जीएसटी चालू हुआ था वो 70 लाख से कम थे। तो धीरे धीरे हर व्यक्ति फॉर्मलाइजेशन की तरफ
So, what discussions have been made with market functionaries on corporate governance lapses?
शुरुआत में
and what is the ministry, doing about it?
Yes, you can have a question, please.
Yeah. Ma'am, Ruchit Purohit from Financial Express.
As to what the ministry is
doing.
So,
what discussions have been made with market functionaries on corporate governance lapses?
Yesterday,
and, and what is the ministry, doing about it?
Hi ma'am, Alek here from Informist.
As to what the ministry
Chairman
is
LIC
doing.
spoke about that
And
LIC would like to keep a strategic stake in
if you don't mind me, I didn't hear you. There wasn't a specific
where are you from? I am from Informist Media.
Oh, there is one.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
from
Sorry about
Informist.
it, I didn't know.
Yesterday, Chairman LIC spoke about.
Name has changed.
Yeah, it was
Cogens.
strategic stake in.
Oh, right. Don't mind me. I didn't hear you.
Chairman
where are
LIC
you
spoke
from?
about that LIC would like to keep a strategic stake
there
in
is one
IDBI Bank. But
Yes.
Deepam
Sorry
is soon
about it, I
expected
didn't
to
know.
make an announcement related to
Name has
IDBI.
changed, yes.
Yeah, it was Cogens.
Cogens.
Comments on that.
Oh, right.
Earlier,
Yes.
the
Okay,
LIC
fine.
was to Chairman LIC spoke about before LIC would like to keep a strategic stake in
Would you mind
IDBI
waiting
Bank.
for Deepam
But
to come out
Deepam is
and
soon
make an
expected to make an
announcement? I may not be
announcement.
able
Is it
to
expected in this financial year or before listing? Some comments on that. Earlier, the LIC
There
was
seems to be the same question.
pared
coming
on the
from
stake
so many
before
people.
listing,
I've
but
said it
now
already.
there's been change in the
Would you
process.
mind waiting for Deepam to come out and make an announcement? I may not be able to.
Is it expected in this financial year or before listing?
Get to
If
know
you can.
There seems to be the same question
Hello,
coming
ma'am.
from so
Swati
many
from
people.
Reuters.
I've said
I
it.
just had one broad
please
macro
pass the
question.
microphone next.
We've seen the government ban, more than 50 apps, Chinese apps again. There have been more than like 200 apps banned over the last 2 years or so. What is
hello, ma'am.
the
Swati from
future
Reuters.
of
I
our
just had
economic
one
and trade
broad
policy
macro
with
question.
China?
We've
Do you
seen
see
the
the
government
government
ban,
ban,
from
more
these
than
app
50
bans,
apps, Chinese
that's
apps
one.
again?
Just a broad view on that.
There have been more
And
than like
a second
200 apps
question
banned
is,
over the last
we have
2 years
the
or so.
government cancelled two
What is
bond
the
auctions
future
over the last
of,
week, 2
our
weeks
economic
because
and
of,
trade policy
the
with
good cash
China?
balance
Do you
position.
see any kind of
But
impact
they've gone
from
ahead and
these
announced
app
an
bans?
auction for this
That's
Friday.
one. Just a broad view on
Is this
that.
likely to be the
And
last
the
auction
second
for the year,
question is,
or
we
will
had,
the government
the government
likely,
cancelled two bond
reschedule the
auctions
cancelled
over the last
auctions?
week,
Thank
2
you.
weeks because of
No, on
the
your
good
first
cash balance
question,
position.
apps are
But they've
banned
gone ahead and
because
announced an auction for
they're
this
found
Friday. Is this
being
likely to be the last
deleterious
auction for the year,
on one
or
ground
will
or
the
the other.
government likely, reschedule the cancelled auctions?
They are
Thank
banned
you.
for that reason. No, on your first question, apps are banned because
And that's about it.
they are found. Now, if you're going to ask me as a result of
deleterious
which
on one
what will
ground
happen
or
to
the
the
other.
trade, so they are banned for
earlier
that reason. Some apps. We banned in 2020
And that's about
also
it.
some apps. Now, if you're going to ask me
But
as a
those
result of
trades
which
which have
what
been
will happen to the
happening
trade
from
one country or from any other, we had banned
Continue
earlier
on the
some
requirement of
apps.
the importer.
We banned in 2020 also some apps.
Right.
So,
But those
ban of
trades
apps
which
which have
happened
been
then
happening
also.
from one country or from
Ban is
any
happening
other.
now also. Continue on the
so you can
requirement
make
of
your
the
inference.
importer. But on the bond options,
Right.
So
I have Ajay with me.
ban of apps
Secretary
happened then
EA.
also.
I'll ask him to respond.
Ban is happening now also.
So you can take
So you can make your inference. But on the
First,
bond
I like to
options, I have Ajay
make
with me.
that clear. That
Secretary EA.
This cancellation, whatever happens, government is committed to fiscal deficit being kept within 6.9%. First, I like to and whatever has been that planned on the expenditure side, this cancellation on the revised estimates, those expenditures happening in the normal course. Fiscal deficit being at the same time within as you would have noticed in the budget. And whatever has been planned on the expenditure side, on the financing of revised estimates of expenditure happening in the is also through drawdown of the cash balances which the government was carrying. Now, apart from that, is small saving collection is of revised estimates of expenditure, and so are the revenue is also through. So when we borrow, when there is a need, cash balance borrows, which the government was carrying, that there are enough cash balances, now, the need is not there. Apart from that small saving collection is a continuous not taken up, and so are the revenues. So when we borrow, when there is a need, this one is concerned. Any activity, the market will there are enough cash balances, the need is well in advance. That and as far as these options are concerned, either not taken up, find that there was a need not to go to the market and raise the money. Now, as far as this one is concerned,
Sir, but what about the two auctions that were cancelled? I mean, we just have 1 month left for this fiscal year to end.
And as far
So,
as these options are
I
concerned,
think the market
we did not
wants to
find
know
that there was
whether
a need
there are going to
go
be
to
more
the
auctions. I
market
mean, that's
and raise
the
the money.
broad question.
Thank you.
And we also had
Sir,
around
but
300
what
billion
about the
rupees
two
worth of
auctions
bonds
that
that
were
didn't get
cancelled?
sold.
I mean, we just have 1
So
month left
altogether,
for
that's
this
a pretty
fiscal
big
year to
chunk
end.
that has not been borrowed by the government.
I think the
So
market
just
wants to
some
know
clarity on
whether
that.
there are going to be more auctions.
See,
I mean,
as I
that's the
mentioned it,
broad question.
that
And
this
we
is a
also had
dynamic
around
situation,
300 billion
and any
rupees worth of
borrowing
bonds
which
that
has to
didn't get
happen,
sold.
we have to tell
So
the
altogether,
market
that's a
at
pretty
least
big
couple of
chunk
weeks in
that
advance
has not
that
been
this
borrowed
point
by
of
the
time
government.
in
So
this
just
month we
wanted some
found that there
clarity
was
on
no
that. Thank you.
necessity to borrow. See, as I mentioned it, and that this is a dynamic situation, and it's not some borrowing which has to happen. Can be given. We have to tell the market at least couple of weeks in advance. It's a dynamic situation. At this point of time, let me assure that there will not be any surprises for the market. The position was comfortable, and we have not borrowed that money.
Please go ahead.
It's not something which can be answered, can be given for what will happen on 31st March. But it's a dynamic situation.
Can it technically
but let me
spill over
assure
to the next year
that there will
also,
not be any surprises for the
this
market.
year is coming to a close, and you
will come to you.
mentioned
Please
that,
go ahead.
DRH
Ma'am,
cannot
just
be
one
filed 2
clarification
years
on
in
that
advance.
LIC IPO. I'm Anup Roy from Bloomberg.
Can it technically spill over
trying
to
to
the next
understand
year also,
if it is next year also. It can.
year is coming to a close, and you specifically mentioned that DRHP cannot be filed 2 years in advance.
Yeah, we'll take a question from governance now, and after that we'll come to you. Please
I'm trying
give
to
it
understand
Gitanjali there, and
if
then
it is next
you can
year
ask the
also. It can spill over to next
Good evening,
year.
ma'am. My
Several
name is Gitanjali.
of your
I'm
colleagues
from
tried
Governance
as well.
Now. And recently at the Governance Now webinar,
Yeah, we'll take a question
Banker
from
Naina
governance
Lal
now,
Kidwai
and
said
after that we'll come to
this
you.
investment
Please
needs
give it to
happen
Gitanjali there, and then
smoothly.
you can
It's
ask the question.
important that they are not revisited. My name is Gitanjali. Governance Now agencies 10, 15 years down the line. Now webinar, Banker Naina Lal Kidwai said that facilitation of deals to happen. So what is your comment on that? It's important that they are not revisited by investigative agencies 10, 15
Yes,
years
go
down
ahead.
the line.
Hey, incidentally, governance now is a monthly, right?
Facilitation of digital now. We were.
Oh,
what
really?
is your comment
It's
on
a
that?
report now.
Fortnightly magazine.
I see.
We gone fully digital now.
मैम
Yes, go ahead.
अभिषेक पांडे न्यूज नेशन से
Incidentally,
एक सवाल और
governance now is a
है
monthly,
केसीआर परसों उद्धव ठाकरे से मिलने आए थे इसके पहले ममता बनर्जी भी उद्धव ठाकरे और शरद पवार जी से मुलाकात की थी तीनों लोगों ने जब भी मुलाकात की अभिषेक पांडे न्यूज नेशन से एक सवाल और है अपने विरोधियों को परसों दबाने के लिए मिलने आए सेंट्रलाइज इसके पहले ममता बनर्जी भी उद्धव ठाकरे और शरद पवार जी से मुलाकात इस तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया तीनों लोगों ने जब उनकी विरोधी चुप हो जाए और कहा सरकारों को गिराया जा सके या अन्य विरोधियों को दबाने के लिए सेंट्रलाइज एजेंसी का इस्तेमाल करती है ईडी का या फिर सीबीआई का इस तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया जाता है ताकि उनके विरोधी चुप हो जाएं और सरकारों को गिराया जा सके या अनस्टेबल किया जा सके इस पर आप क्या
इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसीज को हम उपयोग करते हुए उनके विरोधी दल हमारे विरोधी दल को दबाने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं नहीं ये तो तीनों मिल गए फिर भी मान लीजिए तीनों अगर स्टेटमेंट्स दे इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसीज को हम उपयोग करते हुए उनके विरोधी नहीं हो रहे हमारे विरोधी दल को मिलना है तो मिलिए कोशिश करते हैं डेमोक्रेसी में सबका हक है किसी के पास जाकर के खुलेआम स्टेटमेंट्स दे अलायंस बिल्डअप करने के लिए बात भी कर सकते दबाव का अगर ये दबाव की बात नहीं करो कुछ दबाव नहीं हो रहे आप मिलो जरूर बात करो मिलना है तो मिलिए अगर दबाव एक मिनट के लिए भी हम मानते हैं सच के पास जाकर के आप फिर भी बात कर रही हो अलायंस बिल्डअप करने दबाव का क्या है ये बेबुनियाद आरोप है बार बार मैं बोल रही हूँ मगर ये बात याद दिलाना चाह रही हूँ अगर दबाव एक मिनट के लिए भी हम मानते हैं सच है स्टेट का पुलिस को उपयोग करते हुए हर कार्यकर्ता को तंग करने वाले ये बेबुनियाद आरोप और के बार बार ऐसे बोल रही हूँ मगर ये बात याद दिलाना चाह रही हूँ इस बहाने नहीं क्या बंगाल में क्या हो रही है स्टेट का पुलिस को उपयोग करते हुए हर कार्यकर्ता को तंग करने वाले उस सरकार किसी और के ऊपर ऐसे बातें जो बेबुनियाद है लगाना है
But just one question more on the same thing that considering the geopolitical situation and because it is a big raise from the market, do you think there could be any delays for IPO now? Considering you already answered the question on DRHP of LIC IPO, but just one question more
very
on the
smartly
same
coming
that,
around.
considering the geopolitical situation and because it is
I
a big
enjoy
raise
it, yeah.
from the
Very,
market,
very alert
do you think
praise.
there could be any delays for the IPO considering the
But ma'am, any
the
comment
conditions
on
right
that?
now?
No, the state of affairs, you just watch out. Good, very smartly coming
Just pass
around.
the mic next.
I enjoy
मैम
it.
नमस्ते
yeah.
मैं
Very,
सौरभ
very
पांडे
alert
न्यूज़ मुंबई
praise.
से मैम बजट 2020-21 में आपने DICGC कवर जो था 1 लाख से बढ़ाकर 5 लाख कर दिया था जो बैंक में डिफॉल्ट हो जाते थे हाल ही में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने जो था मैम नमस्ते मैं सौरभ पांडे जी वो जो है डिफॉल्ट बैंक के जो बजट 2020-21 में आपने DICGC कवर जो था 1 लाख से बढ़ाकर 5 लाख कर अगर आप लोग उस चीज जो बैंक में डिफॉल्ट हो जाते थे जो है हाल ही में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने जो ग्राहकों के हित में कुछ करना थे वो जो है डिफॉल्ट बैंक के जो कंज्यूमर्स थे उनको दिए थे तो मैम NBFCs को लेकर इस तरह की कोई प्रक्रिया है, या अगर आप लोग उस चीज़ में नज़र रख रहे हैं कि किस तरह से जो है अगर NBFC कहीं डिफ़ॉल्ट होता है तो ग्राहकों के हित में कुछ करना चाहिए?
Secretary, you want to answer that because it pertains to you. पसंद नहीं आया मतलब सच है, हमारे सामने कुछ नहीं है, वो सच बोले, अब इससे क्यों करते हो? फैक्ट है वो.
Yes, go ahead.
Finance Minister, ma'am, one question.
मतलब सच है, हमारे सामने कुछ नहीं है, वो सच बोले, अब इससे क्यों करते हो?
But there
Fact
are certain facts which are well established.
Yes, go ahead.
Finance Minister, ma'am, one question. Where did speak about things have happened that information was passed. You said that you're looking into it, but right now it's well established. But there are certain facts you describe are well established as far as NSE at that time, from the regulation at that time, where on the facts things do not need further investigation, at least the powers were misused and are well established. Which is well established. How would you look at those charges? How would you look at describe of National Stock Exchange and the board under those charges, the administration at that time, taking this on the facts, whole inquiry, do not need further investigation, at least some description on it.
These are the very questions for which I'm going through the detail of what is before me. So although you would perceive, and I'm not disputing that, although you would perceive that these are well established and the forensic audit may also have said all this, these are the very questions for which I'm going through the detail of what is before me. So although you would perceive, and I'm not disputing that, although you would perceive that these are well established and the forensic audit may also have said all this, I'm still going through it. So I don't want to give a preemptive reply. These very questions are also in my call for a meeting. I will come back conference where I will definitely give out all that that questions you may have on that matter.
Yes,
but
please
at
pass
this
the mic.
stage, it will be unfair. I am definitely
In
going
the budget,
to.
you
These
made a
very
proposal
questions
for
are also
revising
in my
the
mind.
credit guarantee
I will
scheme.
come back to you.
For the
One last question, ma'am.
especially the
Is the standard?
SMEs, but that was just announcement, hardly details that needed
Yes,
to be
please
found.
pass the mic.
How much exactly the corpus in the budget you made a proposal for and revising the credit guarantee scheme. About that it will add to another $2 trillion, especially the SMEs. But that was just announcement, hardly
Credit
details that need to
guarantee?
be found. Credit guarantee scheme. How much exactly the
CGTMS,
corpus is
okay.
going to be so increased? Hardly any details have come after. You spoke about that.
Yes,
will
because
come to
the
another
Finance
$2 trillion
Act will have to be
$2
passed,
trillion
right? The bill will have to be passed, and after which every department, everybody will get the details of it. We've come in the intermission. We've tabled the finance bill.
Come after that.
It's going through the Finance Act will have to be passed, right? The bill will have to be passed, and after which every department, everybody will get the details of it. We've come in the intermission. We've tabled the finance bill. It's going through the parliamentary committees. Meaning final for you. Then after you're concluding for everybody. Parliament comes back. First,
just give her a mic.
All the details.
Any progress in the global bond index inclusion? Could you
Ma'am,
guide us
would you
where
like to take?
it is?
Meaning
and by
final
when
for
it's
you.
expected?
Yeah.
Or you're concluding for everybody.
Yeah, Anurag, just give her a microphone.
Any progress in the global bond
These are the
index
decisions
inclusion?
to be
Could
taken
you
at an
guide us
appropriate
where
point
it
of
is and by
time.
when
The
it is
challenges
expected?
which the economy is which are before us, the opportunities which are there. At this point of time, our focus is on stronger growth, decisions to be taken and as and when taken will be the challenges informed to you. But I would like to clarify this for us, the opportunities that when the conversation is started on this, our focus is all those conditions which are needed to stronger growth and those decisions as and when taken government bond, rupee bond into the global indices. But I would like to clarify this aspect. Much later on, the taxation is started on this. So all those conversations, all those conditions which are needed to include government bond, rupee bond into the global indices certainly there's no are all have been met. Much later on, the taxation issues has been brought in. So all those conversations are still continuing.
There is an enhanced outlay towards infrastructure for the next fiscal. I know
Certainly
the underlying
there's no timeline.
distribution of allocation, but I was wondering if there was any milestone or series of milestones we could follow, or any large special projects. There is an enhanced outlay the government had in mind that would help speed. I know the underlying this distribution of allocation next year. But I was wondering if there was any milestone or series of milestones we could follow, or any large special projects. that the government had in mind.
I'll have to give a substantial
that would
answer
help
for it,
speed
but
up,
the moment we are
this infrastructure
looking at
spend over the course of the next year,
the
because it's a big
various
bet
heads under which we
on
can
that
take this
reviving
up,
the economy.
green related, so renewable energy will get a priority.
Gati
I'll have to give a
Shakti will guide
substantial
us so
answer
that
for
we
it,
have
but
the
the moment
synergy,
we are, let us
looking
say,
at of taking one project, the other project,
various heads under which
simultaneously
we can
will
take
have
this
to
up,
be
green
brought in.
related, so renewable energy
Also
will get
looking
a
at
priority.
Gati
States
Shakti will guide us
and
so that we
their
have the
priorities,
synergy,
the infrastructure
let us say,
pipeline,
of
which
taking
had
one
about
project, the other
6,000 odd
projects
simultaneously,
some of them
would
will
also be taken
brought
over.
in. Also looking
National
at
asset monetization
states
will go along
and,
with
their
this, although
priorities,
that's a different
the
card
infrastructure
altogether.
pipeline,
which had about
So
6,000 odd
giving
projects
you
at
the
that time. Some of them
flags
would also
for
be taken
drawing
over.
your attention. But maybe from 1st
National
April,
asset
they will be more
monetization will
specific
go along
picture
with
arrives,
this, although that's a different
I
card
can
altogether.
let you know by that. So I'm only giving you the flags for
Thank you very much
drawing your
for spending
attention.
time
But
and
maybe
interacting with
from
the
1st April,
media in
the
Mumbai.
more
And thank you
specific
all of you
picture arrive.
for asking good questions here.
can
And I
let you
request
know
all of you to join for the high tea also. And thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much and good evening. Interacting with the media in Mumbai. And thank you all of you for asking good questions here. And I request all of you to join for the high tea also. And thank you very much, everyone on the dais. So please, thank you very much and good evening.